Welcome, everyone, to this webinar on optimizing public tendering processes with the help of technology and AI specifically. I will be your moderator. I'm Alex, and our hosts today, the actual people with the insights, are Stefan Morkov. Huge experience at both the public sector and in IT as an IT engineer, PhD at Leuven, and founder of Hermex, product for making sense of public sector sales data. And we also have with us Michael for EU institutions with over 25 years of experience in the business. I think we have a great lineup for today. And also the topic is super interesting. I myself am interested in finding out what we'll be talking about today because tapping into public sector sales has always been a challenge. And not just tapping into it, but actually finding processes that feel modern, that we can optimize in different ways. Today we'll be talking about AI. Amongst other things, about how AI can help our processes and public sector sales. We'll be talking, I think, a bit about AI summaries and how to identify qualified leads faster with the help of AI summaries. We'll be talking about public sector data and how to leverage that to our advantage. And I think last but not least, we have these two brilliant gentlemen here that will tell us insights on the process, about the challenges in the industry, and about the things that really matter on the business side. So it's business mixed with technology. And I, for one, can't wait to see what comes out. Just so you know, at the end of the webinar, there will be a Q&A section. And if you have any questions, I do encourage you to use the Q&A button and Q&A section even from the beginning. So whenever a question pops up into your mind, just put it in the Q&A. And that way, when we reach the end, we'll make sure that we go through all the questions in order and get to answer as many of them as possible. Tell us a bit more about what this market looks like and what are the challenges.
So everybody's talking today about artificial intelligence, and everybody's talking about ChatGPT and this kind of tools. And the first thing that I am thinking when I'm thinking about technology in public sector sales is, why don't we have in the public sector tools for analytics, for artificial intelligence, for statistics, for automation, the kind of tools that we have in the private sector? Because there's a huge disconnect between what's being done in the private sector when you sell to consumer, to retail, when you do B2B. Companies like ING or Carrefour or Renault, they automate everything. They use Google Analytics, LinkedIn Sales Navigator, ChatGPT, now Apollo, Veridion, Jasper AI to automate, to understand their market, to do segmentations and so on. But in the public sector, it is high time today to have this kind of tools. And I've been doing myself public sector sales for 20 years, and it is a very manual and tedious work. I had a huge Excel file with 580 projects, and for each project, IT projects for the European Commission, I had the history, 20 years of history. And you need to update this kind of manual databases manually. It is like the Stone Age. So this kind of disconnect we are looking into today, and it's high time to solve it. I'm super glad that we have a strong audience today, already 66 participants. I hope we will not exceed the limits of Zoom. And thank you for our partners, clients from companies like Brayton, Unisys, Aricoma. I see there are a couple of Michael colleagues from West Pole. Lumines is here. Thank you for being here, and VAS and so on. So maybe we should start by also asking our friend and partner, Michael, about his personal experience. How did he get here? And what do you think about public sector automation and tools today?
Okay, thank you, Stefan. It's an honor to be here. I'm effectively a huge supporter of your product, of course. Actually, I arrived meeting you because in our business, you know that effectively, if you work for European institutions, you work mainly with tendering procedures. And as you said, we were building for many years our own database with all the tenders and trying to understand our position towards the competition. Main issue is to understand the contract dates, start date contracts. We did a lot of Stone Age work, and when we started to understand there were tools coming on the market, and to be honest, I was thinking about myself doing that, but yeah, we're very busy in our words answering tendering, and especially nowadays the market has changed a lot. I mean, when we started 25 to 20 years ago, we were 2 companies on one tender, and now we find ourselves sometimes even 30. So we understand it has become a business volume, and then therefore you need to increase your capacity to respond tenders. So you need to create a strong bid team and identify, of course, all the opportunities. And nowadays there are so many, because at the beginning there were only a few institutions. Now you are above 150 plus institution agencies mixed, plus United Nations, plus all the rest. So yeah, effectively this product was really making sense. So there were already a few products on the market, but it was before the arrival of AI. Also, it's an application that requires very much following and development. So what I really appreciate with you, Stefan, is your immediate response. We have the advantage with your product to be directly with the programmer, with the creator, because actually it's a creation. So nowadays it helps me a lot to build up a pipeline, to get reminders, for instance, on tenders maybe I forgot about or had no time to look at. It also allows me to discuss with a partner or a competitor to understand better their position on the market, what is the share they have. I can also make vertical analysis by client. I can do analysis by sector. Before, all this work was really taking hours and hours. I remember the first time I started that, I think it took me 6 months to enter into the TED, because at that this is the main product we used. It took me 6 months to understand what was on the market and start to build a pipeline for 5 years, but 6 months full time. So your product is really helping a lot, pre-sales and sales.
You raised a very nice topic here, and I am myself quite fascinated by it. The fact that we are acting in a huge market, and it's absolutely huge. And at the same time, it's more and more crowded. So you need more and more competitive advantages to keep at the forefront of this market. I loved myself doing public sector projects. They are big, profitable, they are transformative. But also I noticed, and this is more and more relevant, that even if the market becomes more competitive, it is still a very elitist affair. It's really very difficult to enter. From our own analysis, we discovered that only 0.3% of the European companies actually access public contracts. And you know, it's amazing, because public sector in Europe is 54%. 2 trillion per year are being spent by European institutions, by 250,000 authorities throughout Europe. So again, a huge imbalance. World Bank study of last year, they said that 25% of this money is being lost due to inefficiencies. So pretty much this is what we do. In Hermix. Hermix is an online platform that helps companies win public contracts. Thank you for your nice words. We've been working together for, I think, more than 1 year now. And
Yes.
thank you for all the support you have offered us with advice, suggestions, recommendations. We're trying to support as much as possible. The 3 things that we are covering are tender monitoring, so everyday notifications regarding new tenders, changed tenders, new documents, new clarification questions and answers that we get from various sources like the Belgian procurement portal, the European procurement portal, the funding portal of the European Commission, and so on. Second thing is tender analysis, both commercial, the context, as well as technical, analyzing tender documents. And we use conversational AI for tender summarization and for automating a significant part of these tasks. And we also do market intelligence, so positioning a company in a particular market. So, the first topic that you need to start from is how do you find this data? It's a lot of data in the it's a lot of data in this public sector. So the big problem is not the lack of data, because the public sector is pretty transparent. The big problem is that we are flooded by irrelevant information. So the first thing that we try to do in Hermix is, to find to organize this data and make make meaning out of it. For instance, look, this is the homepage of Hermix after you log in, and you have here an overview of the market, and here are the new tenders that appeared every day. We have even one published today by the external service. So it's a lot of information. The problem is that all this information comes from various sources. You have notices in one source, you have contract awards in another, budget spent in another, the documents are yet in another source, and you lose a lot of time trying to put this kind of information together and to clean it up. Because the big problem is that it's not so cleaned up. And I remember we were talking earlier a few days ago about the European Parliament, I think, last week. You were mentioning, Michael, a very interesting thing that they had one tender, changed the tender, and so on. This is the kind of case study. Maybe you can tell us more about what you were saying.
Yes, actually, if you take, for instance, the European Parliament, they had many tenders going out, and then some of them were canceled, some of them were extended, and to be honest, from outside at some stage, if we keep our system, it becomes a little bit of spaghetti. It's like in programming. Therefore, using Hermix will help me to restructure and understand what the contract are still active, when they were awarded, and every time we have a tender coming out, every company is doing a kind of internal presentation, and this is where your product also and your response to the request, when I explain you, look, we always need to do the same documents, presentation, understand the value, the SLAs, and so this now, with this possibility to create this document through your system, is making us winning a lot of time.
This is the kind of summary that you are talking about. For instance, I'm showing it live as an illustration. For instance, this is the profile of the last big tender from 2018, I think, for the external provision of IT services. This is one of the hot topics for European Commission today. So the context information that we clean up, aggregate, and provide is something like this. You have a link to the authority profile where you learn about the business, buyers, market, suppliers for the European Parliament. You have information about the previous 266 similar contract awards. and a map of the suppliers of the Parliament IT projects, the countries from which these suppliers are coming, and the most probable contracts that are related to this one. And also, when you look at a particular tender, I was saying that you have also obviously the past winners, so who won the previous contracts for the Parliament for this tender, for instance. This is aggregated from several sources. And then I think we will move a little bit further down. You can analyze the tender not only from a commercial point of view, like this context is a commercial analysis, but also from a technical point of view. I think I will show this a little bit later.
Stefan, just looking at it, and I'm a newbie in public sector sales, right? I'm fairly new and just getting into it. But for me, sometimes even with the data, things tend to be a bit overwhelming. There's a lot of things to care after, a lot of things to analyze. I mean, how would one go about, how much time does someone have to spend on this? I think there's multiple sales roles, spending multiple time on this process. And how should we look at the time investment on this?
Yeah, this is our job as people acting in sales and pre-sales, especially in the public sector. The basic job is that we monitor daily tenders that are coming out, and we analyze something like 4, 5, 10 tenders every day. Reading one tender can be just reading it can be something between 30 minutes to 3 hours. So if you have 5 tenders to look at every day, that's basically all of your time. So what we're trying to do is to automate a lot of these repetitive tasks. And this is, there are several ingredients for the success in public sector sales. And there is no one single bullet. But one of the first that I think is important is market know-how and strategic positioning, segmenting and understanding the market. Because as I was saying, how many tenders can you do per year? Even if you are a big company, like some of the companies that we have here present, and I'm really glad to see you, you can do what, 5 or maybe 10 big tenders per year. So you need to prioritize. You know how Napoleon was saying the strategy of Napoleon was defeat in detail. So what you want to do is to position yourself on the market where are the biggest budgets and the lowest competition. So first of all, you need, to look at the market and to understand it. So for instance, here is the market analysis for Luxembourg, European institutions, IT. You have the history of 8 years of tenders, numbers, values of tenders, who are the authorities active on this market, and you have stuff like number of contracts and value of the contracts per each authority. And it's the same type of analysis you need to do for contractors, right? So if you go to market overview contractors, here are the suppliers that are active on the Luxembourgish European institutions IT market. You can obviously extend this, let's say, for the entire Europe. And here is the map of the suppliers with the data view. For each supplier, you have number of contracts, values, and you can, click and look at which are these contracts. You have also geographic analysis from which they are coming and evolution in time. Oh, this is kind of like the first thing to position. But there are also other ingredients. The next one is pre-sales. So, in public sector tendering is like an exam, like a school exam. They evaluate you based on what you write, not based on what you know. So pre-sales is critical. And there are a lot of things that can be automated there. And starting from understanding a tender summarization, but going also to generating tenders. And obviously the next steps and the next 2-3 ingredients are sales. You need to have boots on the ground, as in the military, and the technical quality, the excellence, the quality of the delivery. This is pretty much what we are doing. So from the positioning on the market, understanding where you are and where you want to be, the places with big budgets and lower competition, to monitoring tenders, understanding very easy, very fast the tenders, and sending and then qualifying and writing proposals. This is where we are going towards.
So actually, as I said, I mean, this tool is really at the heart of your strategy, because either you can attack from a customer perspective, you can make just your vertical analysis, you understand your client. You can compare that with the competition. You can also base your strategy on, okay, I would like that I will position my company a bit like this competitor. So you can analyze also your competitor, understand on what market they are. You can geographically say, okay, we want to target only part of Holland or Germany or Belgium. I mean, it gives you a huge access to this data, actually, that we were all trying to capture for many years. And here we have directly everything at the hand. The only thing is how we use it, because if the data is there, it's nice, but the most important is how you're gonna use the data. And I believe that effectively Hermix is the product that should make suggestions also, understand your way of using the application, how you use the data. And in my opinion, this is where maybe AI will come and wrap up a little bit the way I want to build up my strategy.
So you went directly to the topic. Yeah, so the first thing that you can do is obviously to look at standard documents. Huge amounts of documents are available. So when you look at a tender, during the last couple of days, we were all looking probably at Digit with the new Citco tender. When you're looking at the tender, you have huge amounts of documents that you can analyze. And this is what we already do. We launched this new module as a pilot about 3 months ago. It worked pretty nicely. So now we are rolling it out to these days to more and more users. So the point is that in the last couple of years, the tools, the generative language, large language models tools became more and more serious, and they work more and more. So what we do, you have a button, you generate a summary based on the documents that we download and analyze from mostly the European funding portal or the previous e-tendering portal. We are doing that as well. We index all these documents. You are able to search through all these documents here. Like, you can write Microsoft Azure here, and you will find all the documents that are mentioning one of these keywords. And then with one click, you can also summarize them. When you summarize a tender, you get a very short summary. Instead of spending 30 minutes, 2 hours reading 200 of pages, you get immediately answers to, is this a framework contract? Yes. How many contracts are being signed? What's the type of contract? Is it a cascade or not? What are the work packages, the technologies that are being used in this project? So you can see immediately, am I aligned with this tender or not, without reading 200 pages? What are the economic selection criteria, like turnover 4 million? You see it here already. Or the technical capacity, you have the requirements for experts, the technical award criteria or financial award criteria. This is price 100%. And we also show the source. This is also important, and we received it as a feedback from users that piloted the platform, that you sometimes want to see more detail, want to see where is the actual information that was extracted here. So with one click, you get, look at paragraph 3.4 award criteria. This is where we got the information from. We are trying to be very transparent about this. One of the first things that we were worried about here was to not hallucinate. And we managed to solve this pretty well. We tested and worked with several language models. I think GPT-4 is still the best, and for most of the tasks that we are using now in the platform, in the live platform, GPT-4 is the one that we are using as well. And the problem of hallucination is pretty much solved. On the other hand, we have to be aware that artificial intelligence is a little bit like a kid. It will not understand deep topics. Like for instance, I noticed that it doesn't understand stuff like when there are tenders, special procedures like 2, 3, 4 phases or several lots and stuff like this. It doesn't really understand them. But I wanted to say also something else, that we are talking about complex stuff like tender summarization and obviously in the future tender generation. But we should not forget that a lot of our work in sales is actually pretty basic. For instance, I was telling you about downloading and monitoring documents and tender questions and answers. This is really difficult, going to several portals, e-tendering, funding portal, TED, other procurement portals. So we automate this stuff. Instead of going to the funding portal and right-click download every file and right-click copy every question and clarification, you just have one button here with all the documents for these tenders and one button for all the questions and answers. And you can click on this and then you receive emails whenever there's a new file uploaded, whenever there's a new clarification, or if the deadline changed. As you see here, this was changed already. So these are kind of like very basic stuff that first of all technology automates. It went pretty great. This moment, I think we have more than 800 users, about 30 customers, mostly from Belgium, France, Italy, Spain, Portugal. So we're very proud to be working with Indra, with Unisys, and I see that they are also here with CGK and Technopolis. Vas, great, and nice to see you here as well.
There is a question about on the chat, how much we can go very tuning the research. Yeah, effectively, you can select almost anything you want. Technology, country, clients, providers, amount, contract notice, period. I mean, the access to this data is complete and gives you full overview. You can play with all of it. You can look from all different angles.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks for clarifying this. Yes, we can do analysis based on a big number of dimensions, not only country, but also, yeah, industry, domain, location, types. You can do keyword search by type of institution, type of authority, the activity of the authority, and so on. For some segments, we have deeper information, like for instance, for the European Commission, we have 20 years of payments as well. So you can go into that kind of detail as well. Getting a little bit maybe back to the topic of this webinar, I think the big question is, what is the future of AI? I mean, where are we going with this? And some of the things that we were asked to during the past couple of years to support with, and that we are working on, is, for instance, price analysis. It's not an easy task because you need a lot of data. We do have significant data in some areas and for some institutions. For others, it's a problem getting the data because some of the prices are confidential, obviously. And the big thing that everybody's talking about is tender generation. And actually, that's where we are going as well, to write proposals. Because, you know, general artificial intelligence is today a hype. And everybody's trying to use stuff like GPT, ChatGPT, to solve everything, but it doesn't work like this. You will not be able to solve everything with general tools. And that's our niche. The future is specialized applications that solve very specific practical problems. And we have all witnessed in the last 2 years that, for instance, general LLMs are very bad at solving issues like mathematics. Yeah, in the future, they will be ubiquitous. We are starting a little bit shyly to also introduce this kind of tools in a very conservative market, right? So public sector is actually conservative. As Gianfranco was saying, indeed, EC tenders is a huge reading task. So you are writing things in Excel and reading a lot of PDFs. So it's a bit conservative. We are using old tools, but AI will be in the future like Excel. 50 years ago, we were writing letters on paper to communicate with each other. And now traditional post has disappeared because of emails and because of Excel, and the same with the spell checker. So now when you write a proposal, obviously you use Grammarly and Office spell checker for everything. It's like the basic thing that we are using. So in a couple of years, using artificial intelligence will help as well. The approach that we are taking on this is very pragmatic. Artificial intelligence is not only a hype, but it's actually becoming more and more useful in very pragmatic, specific problems like understanding tenders and even generating proposals. We are working on this as well. Pragmatic for us means that we have a framework that we are developing. We started, and partially it is already in production, the part with summarizing tenders. This framework is formed of specific services. We call them agents, and each of these agents solve an individual problem. Something like extract a piece of information or generate a piece of the proposal. And then we orchestrate all these agents together so that all these pieces of information and content are assembled into a final product that is actually really helping. There is a question that I can take it quite easily if it is only for EU institutions, the platform that we have, or we have also tenders for public government. We are using several data sources for our data. Alex, is it okay if I take the question now?
Yes. I would take this opportunity even to announce that we can officially enter the Q&A part of the meeting. So, Stefan, go ahead. The question is, you already read it, I think.
Yeah, the question was if we analyze and if we have data only about European institutions or also other public authorities. The answer is that at this moment we are covering the entire Europe. We have obviously European institutions, but also the main source of information in European tendering is TED, the European Tendering Portal, which covers the entire Europe, including national, federal, regional, and local institutions. For some European countries, we also cover low value contracts, like for instance, for Belgium, we have also the government, all the notices published by Belgium authorities. For some other countries, only tenders above a particular threshold. So we cover everything, and we will cover more and more of other agencies as well. There is already a second question, but I would like to take that a bit separately. It was a question why the button tender summary does not work anymore. I don't know who asked the question, but if you can send me a message, I will look into why it wouldn't work for you or something. It should work. We have users using it every day, including today. So it should work. If you send me a message separately, I will make sure that you would not have a technical problem or browser problem or anything. Hi, Guy. Thank you for the question regarding coverage of NATO and United Nations. United Nations is in work now. It will take a few weeks more. NATO is in the backlog. We don't have it yet. Regarding what kind of features and what kind of data we are covering, and this is a great question. There are a lot of things that we can do. What we do is we prioritize the needs of our customers. As I was saying, we have a great bunch of partners and customers that we are working with, and a lot of them are present here today. Really nice to see you. And really nice to see also old friends. What we do is we have a list of priorities for data and for features, and we are taking them as they are coming from our customers. So NATO at this moment is not really a big priority for us, but if you want us to make it a big priority, we will have it easier. UN is already in work. We already have the code pretty advanced. A question from Luana. Can Hermix have access to the Romanian platform SEAP? Yeah, I think it will be available next week. So at this moment, we are already covering, as I was saying, every European country, but national portals cover also lower value contracts. The SEAP is one of the platforms that we have already developed, currently is in testing. Well, I think we need a couple of more days to make sure that, to finalize the testing and to launch it for everybody. Oh, there are a lot of questions now. I will try to go very fast, giving enough details. If you want to slow down, please let me know, because I have the tendency to speak very fast. People tell me that. So, for EU institutions, if it is possible to get info on consumption of running contracts, that's a very interesting question. We have faced this for the last 2.5 years. We have the consumption. We have the information from the European Commission, from DG Budget on payments, and you can see it. Actually, it was I have it. I can actually show you right now, to have a practical application. Like if you go to European Commission spending, you have here the actual payments from DG Budget for the last 20 years, cleaned up number and value of payments. These are specific contracts or payments. This is how DG Budget records payments, including the geographic distribution of the spenders and the suppliers, set of indicators, and going up to who gets the money. Like this is per company who gets this money, and even for obviously which authorities are spending the money. And you can even go to details. Like for instance, if I want digit, or let's take employment to diversify a little bit. If I'm taking employment 2022 IT payments, one click and you have the list here, 102, including who got this money. But I have to agree, George, and thank you for pointing this out, it is quite difficult to associate this payment with a framework contract. So this is an issue we have not solved entirely until now. DG Budget does not report spending per framework contract, they report spending per supplier. Regarding NATO, thank you for, again, for letting us know. We will prioritize NATO for you as well. We had 2 requests now to have NATO data in the application, so we will make sure that this becomes a priority for us.
If I may, Stefan, on this NATO and United Nations, the issue as a provider to identify the next tenders is that UN, they often publish the tender, or at least the notice, but usually they don't provide the results. So, and they don't provide contract dates. So this information stays in the background, and if you don't know the client or have a partner who has this information, it's difficult to build it. Now, I don't know if it is possible that effectively through capturing data from your customers, could we use this data to emphasize your database and bring additional information that would be valuable for others. Of course, no one wants to share this information, but if there is a way to populate, that would be interesting, because for someone who is completely external, to penetrate this sector is very difficult. And as you present yourself as a facilitator, that would be welcome.
I fully agree. Yeah, the data availability varies from one authority to another. There are some authorities that are very, very transparent about not only the procurement process, but also the participants, the winners, and even spending. Like European Commission is publishing usually also spending. for some of, not for all the agencies. On the other hand, I also experienced myself working with United Nations, the fact that sometimes they are very opaque. They don't give you even information about even if you won or lost. It happens to me. It happened to me to participate in a tender, and for kind of like 1 or 2 years, I had no idea what happened, even if they received my tender. And asking a few times, I still didn't get an answer. It was quite funny. Yeah, so that's why we are using information from various sources, and we aggregate this information, and we are trying to use smart tools to clean up the data and to make sense of it. This is the cleanup side. We are trying to clean up the data in order to make sense of the data that we have, so that statistically it is still relevant. Because sometimes you have some pieces of information and you can use that data as proxy for estimating other values. For instance, if you have the initial budget of a tender, the estimated initial budget of a tender, if you don't have the exact contract value, we do this kind of estimations. And we are quite transparent about it. There is no magic behind. Actually, talking about magic, I always remember this kind of stuff when you do artificial intelligence. A couple of years ago, when I wanted to get back to software development, which I was doing lots of years ago, I did trainings on artificial intelligence, data analysis in Leuven University, in Helsinki University, on DevOps, Python, and stuff like this. And in one of the early courses that I attended, there's a very nice joke about artificial intelligence, that in a product, in an AI product, salespeople are talking about artificial intelligence. The managers are talking about machine learning. And what programmers actually do is statistics and linear regression. So this means that there is no magic. When you say AI, it sounds like magic, but there is no magic. Most of the work that we are doing is pretty straightforward, statistical methods, mathematical methods, and stuff like this. I was expecting this question, George. Thank you for asking it. What's the possibility of Hermix providing tender writing services in the future? Yes, that's what we are working on. And we have already the kind of a framework with several agents already in place that are solving some particular problems in this process of finding tenders, understanding tenders, so tender qualification, commercial and technical analysis, especially of documents, and moving to proposal generation. We are moving towards proposal generation. We have a set of tools that are already developed and some that we are working on. For the moment, we have in production only tender summarization. In the next months, we will be rolling more and more of this kind of very specific, pragmatic agents that support more and more of that pre-sales tedious manual job. And we had a question for a few minutes already that I did not touch. I don't know if it is appropriate to talk about prices. The answer is not so easy, in fact. First of all, the pricing model of Hermix at this moment is 500 euros per month or 5,000 per year. I have to add that until now, we had a very good response from our users and from our clients. About 30 clients, about 870 users on the platform until now. Thank you, Tal. It was nice to see you again. I also have to add something. We are going to change the price model in order to align better with what we received as feedback from our users. What we want to do is to allow more flexibility. So we will try to offer differentiated packages for some users that want only an entry level to be a different price from other users that want to have an enterprise service with all the features. This is the kind of feedback that we have been receiving for the last 1.5 to 2 years. We did not want to complicate things until now, but at this moment, our customers show that they want more flexibility. So I hope I answered to the question, including the price now, but in the few next weeks, we will provide a more flexible price structure.
Yes, and just to chip in a bit, I'm sure that you'll know that you can also visit the Hermix website and actually schedule a demo with Stefan or the colleagues to get a more in-depth look at the platform and talk about things like pricing and things like that. I also wanted to note that just before closing out and getting to close out, we talked about the AI summaries. There's actually an official beta program for AI summaries, which I think is started as a closed beta and now is just opening up to more and more users as the feature has evolved. I will leave it in the chat, and you can, of course, sign up for it. And you'll also find on that page a link to actually schedule a demo with Stefan. So feel free to use it if you have any more in-depth product questions, let's say. I think this because we are on time and it was a great webinar. I will just give out one last call for questions and even ask one myself while people might still be writing in the chat. I'd like to ask you, Stefan, where do you see Hermix evolving? I mean, we all saw where it came from, what we're doing right now with AI summaries. What's in store for the future?
Obviously, we will be a unicorn. So 3-5 years, we expect to go big. Obviously. It's transformative what we are doing here. So we have a lot of confidence. Me and my colleagues, we have a great team, and some of them are already present here. Great technical team, product marketing, and so on. We have a lot of confidence in what we are doing. Until now, we grew like crazy, including our team and including the number of users and customers. It is actually working. So people are using our platform, are winning contracts. We had, I think, something like 70 participants to this webinar today, and about 20 other people requested that they receive our recording. We have hundreds of users every week that are actually using the platform. So yeah, this is we are enthusiastic about it. We are going in a great direction, both with the very, let's say, basic tools that help automate tedious, manual, boring tasks. As I was saying, download tender documents. It sounds like a silly, boring task. Yeah, but if you do it for 10 tenders every day, it takes you 3 hours every day. And we replace it with 1 click. So we transform boring, manual, simple, silly tasks, but also or like tender monitoring. You know, tender monitoring, you can use a number of platforms, including TED or SEAP or the Belgian procurement portal, and they do their job. But if you do this manually through all the platforms, it takes a lot of time, every day monitoring for emails and so on. So we solve very simple, basic problems that we can automate dramatically, like tender monitoring, downloading documents, analyzing tenders and tender questions, and we are going to very advanced things that can make a difference in this very competitive world, like the tender analysis, the commercial context, the analysis of tenders documents with AI, and market intelligence, positioning, understanding the competition and the partnerships between companies, and who are the players and where are the money. Thank you for your suggestion to not overcomplicate the pricing. I fully agree with you. So actually, I would like to ask your advice, and if you don't mind, maybe I will give you a call about this. What we would like to do is to maintain the current one as is, obviously, the current pricing as is, because nobody wants to have a confusing pricing model. So the current model will remain as is, but to maybe add a few more options. I would love your opinion on this. So I would love to give you a call maybe next week. Thank you.
Thank you. Stefan, Michael, was a pleasure. As an outsider, I can say that I found this insightful for me. Even using Hermix before, just understood better what the full potential of it is. Really glad for tender summaries. I mean, I didn't live in an age where I had to spend 8 hours a day reading 5 tenders, but I'm glad I won't be living in that age. At least I will able to be sorting through them really quickly from now on. Thank you to everyone that joined, to everyone that stayed, to everyone that asked questions and got value out of this webinar. There will also be a feedback form coming post-webinar. We'd really appreciate you filling it out, because that feedback will be very important into understanding if something like this is useful for the future, if we should do this again, and of course, to understand your views on public tendering in general, and on the Hermix platform in specific. Again, the link is in the chat. We will follow up with a feedback form. Once again, thank you to our hosts for all the valuable insights. Thank you everyone for participating. And Stefan, if you want any closing notes or just to say a beautiful goodbye, it's up to you.
Webinar created completely new ideas with the questions, and it's stimulating. So thank you to you to ease our life, because actually what you bring is a very big value, helping us to focus actually on our main job, and all this administrative and research being absorbed by your system, and in the future probably being more enhanced by AI. Thank you very much.
Thank you from my side as well. We had 170 people registered on LinkedIn, fewer on Facebook, obviously, and about 70 live. The rest we will make sure that you will receive a recording. I think it was also a question or 3 questions if recordings will be available. Yeah, we will make sure that you receive it. Thank you so much.
Definitely.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful day.